we're going to leave that there. And we're going to move into this week's archetype, which, how do I feel about it? I'm feeling like, there's like kind of some jitters there for me actually. And so I don't know why. Let's just begin and see where it goes. So this archetype, to close out the law of truth, and remember when I say close out, just like with the law of gender and the dominant and submissive, or spirit and matter, is when we close them out, we're still melting into them, right? We're still using them as an internal guidance system, right? So we're still coming back to them all the time. So they're not forgotten, and we don't just move on and, okay, done. Here's the pretty little bow, and I've closed out these 3 weeks and I've done my thing. No, it's literally a way of life. And so when I say close out, I really want to honor this is an open playground when it comes to these, because we're constantly evolving, right? It's the evolution of consciousness. And so we're constantly meeting these laws over and over again. And even this time around journeying them, I really feel like we're hitting new depths with these mutable laws, which is incredibly exciting. And so just continue to dance with them. Yeah. Okay. Whenever I feel like really lost or confronted or conflicted with anything in my life, I will always come back to these universal laws, because they really help me. And I think I probably said it to you before, is, sometimes the immutable laws can feel really big, like the law of mentalism, like one. So it's like, wow, like, okay, like getting, okay, what is that? As within, so without. They can be, they're big concepts to really truly embody. However, the mutable laws make it, when we work with them, okay, I don't need to focus on being one with everything and everyone. Think about the fact that there's only one of us here. I can actually think about, okay, what is my truth in this? What am I not seeing? Where am I being submissive and where am I being dominant? And am I in my power or false power? Right? So when we get to they're just, for me, they're practical tools to move beyond, right? So yeah. So that is what I'll say to there. So now we speak to this week's archetype, and that is the experimentalist. So let us talk about this archetype and what it means in terms of kink, and then we'll move into what it means for us in our everyday lives. What is the power and what is the false power of it? Okay, so let us talk about the experimentalist kink archetype. The experimentalist, when it comes to kink and BDSM, is someone who likes to experiment, right? So they've really got that hedonistic flavor, right? They've got that trait. It's very alive for them. Yeah. So it's this, being the experimentalist, you might say that, like, so they're chasing, they get off on trying all the flavors, tasting all the flavors, but also as well is, trying new things. They're unafraid. They get off on trying new things. They get off on pushing that edge of what pleasure is, right? So they're they're not like riding that edge, like they're fucking it hard, right? And so they're wanting to move beyond it. So that is the experimentalist as a kink. And it's pretty, like, the name really is, says it all. So I probably don't need to go into too much about what it actually is. So but the experimentalist, is there's lots of, like, if you talk about consent and what is a hard yes and a hard no, the experimentalist has, there's a bigger sweet spot in the middle where those intersections, if you think of it as a Venn diagram and that crossover, then, so usually we've got, like, so this is one person, this is the other person. And, so this is a, so what's a hard no, what's a hard yes? And then there's an overlap in the middle of where you play and explore, right? But then what's outside of that is what we call a soft no and a soft yes. So that's like maybe not. So it's, it's your openness in that soft yes and soft no. So, the soft yes would be, yeah, let's try that, but let's do it slowly, right? Let's, like, just see how it unravels. A soft no is like, it's a no, but you know what? Check in with me in a little bit because I might actually be into it, right? So what is a soft no and a soft yes? What is a hard no, hard yes? So the experimentalist will have a bigger sweet spot in the middle if you've with another experimentalist. So let us talk about what that means in our lives, in who we are in this skin suit as an experimentalist. And so a lot of the time, I'm just having a stretch. There we go. Sorry, I've hurt my back. And so I was like, oh, I need to just stretch out my back a little bit. Okay, so experimentalist. So what we're doing is, okay, so what does the experimentalist kink archetype means in our everyday lives? And this is really what I really love about these kink archetypes, is because they explore in ways that, they give us more scope, which is really cool. So with this experimentalist archetype, let's talk about the false power, right? So the false power of the experimentalist is unafraid of commitment, right? I want to try new things all the time. And unless I try new things all the time, then I'm not happy and I feel really agitated, or whatever happens on the flip side of that. So in that there can be a real fear of commitment. In that, there can be this constant need for just, opting in for the honeymoon period, right? So I want to experiment and I want to, like, so, I want to taste all the flavors. So it's shallow and vast and not necessarily deep and soul nourishing. So the false power of that is going, okay, like, am I afraid? Like, so the false power would be, constantly moving on in relationships, constantly experimenting, waiting, often subconsciously, waiting for us to arrive at this destination where we feel like we've made it, where we have enough tools in our tool belt to go and do the thing that we really want to do, to make a difference, to be of service, to have this relationship or that relationship, or walk away or change jobs, change careers, whatever it is. So it's that, right? So to go, okay, that is the false power, right? That is the false power of the experimentalist kink archetype. So it's like where, so the creatrix kind of comes to mind, so a lot of creators just want to create and create and create, but they don't actually allow anything to experience its whole emotion, the full cycle of what it is beyond the creation, right? So it's like going, okay, I'm just going to have a child, and then once it gets to school age, I'm just going to go and create, I'm just going to have another baby because I really like the baby stage. And this school age stuff, nah. So I'm just going to do this, right? But yet this child still has a life, right? It still has school, it still has its teenage years, it still has adult years, it has a whole life beyond that creation, those early days, right? So what happens if you're in the false power of the experimentalist is we opt out too early. We opt out too early, and we think that, oh yes, it's not feeling alive, or it doesn't feel aligned, whatever it is. And that might be the case. However, if you're constantly doing it over and over again, if you've got a pattern of this happening over time, then I guarantee you there's a kink there. There's a reason why you're not allowing yourself to experience the full range that this journey can give you, right? So again, it could be relationships, it could be business, it could be a product idea, it could be whatever it is. If you're constantly just reinventing and recreating, you can bet your ass that the experimentalist and the shadow side, the false power of it, is at play here. Yeah. This is a really, really common one with the experimentalist. The other side to the false power of that is the experimentalist is that you can also be like, I'm afraid to try new things. So it can be like, I'm just going to try absolutely everything, right? It's like these people who, you see in movies all the time, how people go out and just become a real fuck boy and just fuck everything, wanting to scratch this itch, wanting to just get distracted. Yeah. And so that's the hunger for the pursuit of pleasure, right? And this is where the false power of the hedonist really comes in, is because they're constantly looking for this thing to fill them up. It's about the short game, not the long game. So on the flip side of that, getting back to the other side of that, is people can be afraid to try new things, right? People get stuck. People to go, I'm in this safe container of this relationship doesn't make me happy, but it's the only thing I know, and I don't know what's on the other side of that. Or this job, I don't really love it, but it's what I know. So I'm just going to hold on to that, right? I don't really eating this way, doesn't really feel good for me, but it's what I know, right? So there can be a real fear and attachment to, for example, I'm going to tell you something about my partner, is he will so we'll go on a holiday and he'll be like, oh, I'm coming back here. And I'll be like, okay, whatever. And he's like, don't you want to come back here? And I'm like, not really. Like, maybe one day. He's like, did you not love it? I'm like, I loved it. Loved it. Right. So I can absolutely love something. But for me, I go, there's a whole world out there that I want to explore. Right. So will I continue to go back to the exact same holiday space every single time? No, I won't, right? Because I think there's other places where I can go and explore, where my partner is like, he would happily go to, he would happily go to, he would happily go to the same place over and over again, right? He would happily go to the same space over and over again. And you go, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's that he likes that. I know it's great. I'm going to go here. I'm going to have a great time. And he likes that certainty of knowing that it's going to be worth it, knowing that it's going to be great, right? So that is a real fear of not wanting to enter out of the comfort zone. So you can think of this power as the comfort zone, right? It's the comfort zone. So let me just have a feel into if anything else wants to come through with that. Yeah, so just take a moment and just feel into like where are you at with your experimentalist, right? Where has the false power been playing out for you, right? Are you more like my partner where you go, oh, I like comfort, right? I like comfort and I like to stay in my comfort because I like to be reassured of the outcome? Or are you the false power of constantly wanting to try new things and constantly looking for this thing, right? And afraid of the depth and afraid to experience the full cycle of something beyond the creation, beyond the honeymoon stage, right? I did this, a lot of people do it in relationships. As soon as it gets hard, they opt out. And you go, okay. So then you go, okay, but they're constantly doing this right now. On the flip side of that is that, you can be in your comfort zone and be in a relationship and you just let things go, even though you're not happy. So I don't want for there to be any confusion here about that, so because a lot of the time where for me particularly it showed up in, I'm in a long-term relationship, and so there's a lot of times where I could have opted out but I didn't. So I was completely unafraid to experience the full range within the relationship. However, in my business and even before that, in my entire career, so we're talking like, I don't know, like, where am I at? 25, 27, 28 years. That feels really old to say that. My entire career, I've changed all the time. So like, I remember one year I got 5 group certificates because I was working a couple of jobs at the same time, but I just changed jobs so frequently. And then after that, I was constantly like every 2 years, I'd just change, or I would doing, or I'd be working and learning at the same time. And, so all these things happening where my partner was in the same, within the same company for like 18 and a half years, like 2 totally different experiences, right? And even within my business is I've just reinvented because I'm like, oh, the creation space, I love that. I love creating, right? I'm creating. For me, creating is easy. That's the easy part. So I'm like, oh, it didn't work, or I didn't get the amount of people that I wanted, or well, look, whatever it was, or I'm bored of it now. That's a huge factor for me. Is okay, now I'm bored of it now. So I just move. So I just recreate. I'm constantly in this recreation phase. So over the past 5 years, I've really begun to recognize this, to go, okay, this is the false power of the experimentalist, right? Of the creatrix. She creates all the time. However, there's a beautiful full journey here that happens when we persist with something, right? When we stick to our soul path. We think back to Voya Week, to not change lanes, to honor this path in front of us, right? So there's a real beauty to that and in that. So absolutely reinvent, rebirth, like let the phoenix rise. But knowing when we're in our power and in our false power. So there's no right or wrong here, and whatever side of the coin you're on in turn, and you might walk a little bit in both ponds with the, did you like that? Both ponds with the false power of that. There's no right or wrong, but just knowing our tendencies really helps us begin to open up, to go, okay, so then what? So, okay, so let me use me for an example, because I just want to feel, because this is such a big one. It's a big one for us. It's a big one in all of us. I feel no matter what camp you're in, or if you're in both camps, that's cool too. So, in that, because when we know this, we go, okay, so for me, let's use the pattern of changing jobs every 2 years and constantly just wanting something new, right? As soon as I get bored, I'm moving on. If I don't love it, I'm moving on, right? So you go, okay, what's under that? What's under that? What am I gaining by doing this? What is the kink here? What is the kink? So you go, okay, so for example, and I can't even remember now what it was. It might come, the more I speak, the more it might come through. But so, there's a real fear. There's a fear of like, so for me, it was like a real fear of like, I didn't want to be stuck. I didn't want to be confined, like the feeling of anyone or any job clipping my wings. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So there was a fear of getting my wings clipped, right? Keeping me small. Right. And that was something that really began, it was this pattern that just happened over and over again for such a long time. So then I got, okay, but what does that give me? What does that give me? So for me, I feel alive in the newness, in the creation mode, right? I feel alive. Like I fear boredom. I hate being bored. I hate feeling stuck. And yet that can be absolutely because of, my trauma from being abused as a child and in my own relationship with somebody. Right. So, yeah, absolutely. It's a trauma response. Right. But what do I gain? See how, yeah, okay, I can know where it come from. I can know why, but what am I gaining from that? What am I gaining from that? And what I gain from that is, is never allowing myself to fail. Right? If I'm constantly in this newness, I'm never going to fail. I can never fail. Right? But if I'm constantly creating, I'm not I'm not, I will say manifesting. I'm not, I'm not in the dream, right? I will never obtain, I will never reach my dream. My dreams will never come true because I'm constantly creating and I'm not allowing it, the full picture, right? The full picture to unravel. So for me, I went, oh my God, unless I stop this pattern, my dreams will never come true, right? So you go, fuck, this is the beautiful thing about kink, right? So you go, fuck. Okay, so I want my dream to come true. Like, fuck, I want my dreams to come true. So if I really want my dreams to come through, I need to get the fuck out of my own way and stop just reinventing myself. I need to double down on this and make it happen. And so then it was really when things really began to change for me. So spend some time with where you're at with that, right? Where you're at with that and what it means for you, because it's a really important thing to unravel, right? Okay, so let's talk to the power of the experimentalist. The power of the experimentalist is to be able to go, you know what, I'm unafraid. I'm unafraid to try new things. I'm unafraid to step outside of my comfort zone. I am unafraid to dance with the edge. I'm unafraid for you to see me in my vulnerability and in my power and everything in between. This is who I am. I'm going to continue to taste all the flavors. I'm going to continue to go wherever I want to go, to do whatever I want to do, because I'm going to honor you. And when I honor you, I honor me. When I honor me, I honor you. I hear you and I see you, and I'm unafraid to take you with me. We have an interconnected bond that can never be broken because we are that. What you see in me is in you. What is in you is in me, because we are that. We are that. As the experimentalist, I am agile. I can stop myself in my tracks. I can turn. I can pivot. I can run away. I can run towards, but I know exactly what needs to be done. In that moment, I am agile. I have moves you've never seen, and I'm unafraid to show you. I'm unafraid to use them. And I do it always in accordance to the highest good, not just for me, but for you. When it is time to pull up stumps, I will pull up stumps. When it is time to double down, I will double down. Because when I worship me, I worship you, because we are that. We are that. So we can dance with the edge. We can tiptoe over the edge. We can jump full force over the edge into the unknown and be completely unafraid, because the person that we are becoming will catch us. We are always held. We can go vast and we can go deep. We honor both. Every tide, every turn, every hurdle. We honor that. We honor that. And we get to play and we get to explore and experiment with what feels good and what doesn't. We are unafraid to try and try again. We are unafraid to try and to fail. knowing that it is all for our evolution. There's no attachment to the outcome. And we are unafraid of the dream. Because we are not in the pursuit of anything. We are that. We are.